So for lesson 10, we're going to be doing some rounding review. We're going to use place value understanding to round multi-digit numbers to any place using real-world applications. So for number 1, we're going to take the number 543,982 and we're going to round it to a few different places. So first, starting off, we see that we have 543 thousands. Okay. So since we're rounding to the nearest thousand, we look one spot over to the hundreds place and we see a 9. Okay, well that tells us that we need to go up one more thousand to 544,000. So next place we have 10,000s. Well, we have 54 10,000s. We look one spot to the right and we see a 3 in the thousands place, which tells us that we need to go down to 54 10,000s. And then finally the 100,000s. Well, we have 500,000s. We look one spot to the right and see the 4, and that tells us we need to round down to 500,000. Okay, so for number 2, we've got a bunch of different numbers that we need to round. Now I've sectioned mine off into groups of 3 for each different place that we need to round to. Okay, so first off, we're going to start with the nearest 100. So 2,841, well, we have 28 hundreds. There's a 4 in the tens place, so we need to round down to 2,800. Okay. Next one, we have 328 hundreds. Again, go to your tens place and we see a 5. Okay, so that tells us we need to round up to 329 hundreds. Okay. And then our last one here, we have 1,328 hundreds. Again, go to your tens place, we see a 9, so we need to go up to 1,329 hundreds. And so 132,891 rounded to the nearest 100 is 132,900. Moving on to our thousands place. Okay, we start off with 6,299. So we have 6,000s. Okay, since we're rounding to the nearest thousand, we go to our hundreds place and see a 2. So that tells us we need to go down to 6,000. Okay, letter E, we have 36,000s. We have a 5 in that hundreds place, which tells us we need to go up to 37,000. Okay. Next one, again, we have 100,000s. Again, go to your hundreds place and we see a 6. So the 6 tells us that we need to go up to 101,000s. Okay, moving on to our 10,000s place. We have the number 40,984. So we have 4 10,000s. This time we go to the thousands place and see a 0, which tells us to go down to 40,000 or 4 10,000s. Okay, next we have 5 10,000s. And the 4 in the thousands place tells us to go down to 50,000 or 5 10,000s. Okay, then letter I, we have 99 10,000s. And the 7 in the thousands place tells us to round that up to 100 10,000s, which would be 1 million. Okay. Finally, we're looking at the 100,000s place. Okay, so we have 300,000s. 6 in the 10,000s place tells us to go up to 400,000. Next, we have 400,000s. 3 in the 10,000s place tells us to go down to 400,000. Okay, so you can see J rounds up to 400,000, while K rounds down to 400,000. Okay, finally we have 800,000s. Okay, the 5 in the 10,000s place tells us to go up to 900,000. Okay. Moving on to some word problems here. Number 3 says we have Principal Vader. Well, Empire Elementary School needs to purchase water bottles for field day. Now, there are 2,142 students. Principal Vader rounded to the nearest 100. to estimate how many water bottles to order. Will there be enough water bottles for everyone if Principal Vader does this? So we're going to take our 2,142 and we're going to round it to the nearest hundred. Okay, we see that we have 2100s. The 4 in the tens place tells us to round down to 2100. Okay, so now if Principal Vader does this and rounds to the nearest hundred, he's going to get 2,100. Now if he orders 2,100 water bottles for 2,142 students, he's not going to have enough. You can see that we're going to have 42 students without water bottles. Okay. So there will not be enough water bottles because 2,142 rounds to 2,100. So 42 students will not have water. Okay. Number 4, opening day at the New York State Fair in 2012 had an attendance of 46,753. Decide which place value to round 46,753 to if you were writing a newspaper article. We're going to round the number and then explain why it is an appropriate unit to round the attendance to. So if we have 46,753, we could really round it to a few different places. But if I'm writing a newspaper article, I'm probably going to want to round it to the largest place. So in this case, the 10,000s. So we would probably round this to 5 10,000s. Because it's the largest place. So okay, so a newspaper article could round 46,753 to 50,000 because it is the largest place, okay, in this number. Okay, finally, number 5. A jet airplane holds about 65 gallons of gas. It used about 7,460 gallons when flying between New York City and Los Angeles. We're going to round each number to the largest place value and then find out about how many trips the plane can take between the two cities before running out of fuel. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is round both of these numbers to the largest place. So for 65,000, we're going to round it to the nearest 10,000. And that 5 tells us to go up to 7 10,000s. Okay. So next we have 7,460. Now in this case, the largest place is the thousands place. The 4 tells us to go down to 7,000. That's the first part. Now, remember, we got to go back to our question. So we've rounded each number to the largest place value, but then we need to find out about how many trips the plane can take. So if one trip is about 7,000, and they have a total of about 70,000, we need to do 70,000 divided by 7,000. So we need to figure out about how many 7,000s are in 70,000. Well, if we go back to our work with our number disks and the place value chart, we see that our 7 has shifted over one spot. And when we do that, we know that we're dividing by 10. Okay. So the plane can take about 10 trips between the cities.